Hi, my name is Diana Decotis Smith. I'm an OBGYN and I'm enjoying wine with Father Doug. What are we drinking today?
It's pretty good. It's called Seven Daughters. It's a red blend, and I like it. Do you?
I do. It's very tasty. I've already had a glass.
Well, we've been talking a lot about families in church lately, Diana, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about your family.
So I have a big family. I have children and I have a lot of brothers and sisters. And so I would say I have a very involved family, and I even joke about it often because I feel like we're too close sometimes. But I personally have 3 children. I'm married and have been married for about 12 years. And I have a mother and father and 4 other brothers and sisters. And so we're kind of constantly together and enjoy being a part of each other's lives.
So you all live in the same town?
Well, 2 of my sisters are here locally, and my 2 brothers live in South Florida. But ironically, they come up here and visit often, so we can all be together.
Do y'all get together much for meals or things like that?
So my family gets together often, has dinner together almost every night. I mean, some nights are tough with sports and children's activities, but I think my family, like my parents, my sisters, we probably get together about once or twice a month and just enjoy a meal and spending time with the family, and the kids get to see their grandparents, and we just have a good time together.
I bet that's a lot of fun, huh?
It's loud.
Yeah, what is it?
It's very loud. You've been there once.
I had. I thought it was fantastic. Very, very enjoyable. A lot of energy in the room and a lot of love.
Yes.
And a lot of faith. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about where does faith come in? Where does church come in to your family or your work or both?
So with my family, I've always been brought up in the Catholic faith, and I thought it was really important to instill that faith in my family. I actually married my husband, and he was Baptist when we first got together, and actually came to church with me every week because he wasn't really an active church member, and really enjoyed the Catholic faith and spending time with me in my church, and converted to Catholicism. I think it was about 5 years ago when we lived in Mobile, Alabama, and had a great experience there, and he still talks about it often. And then since then, we've brought up our children in the Catholic faith. And for us, going to church once a week it's kind of routine. I want my children to have it as a part of their life and to grow up, learning about God and religion. And it's an important part of my family too. My dad's going to be a deacon. We all enjoy going to church together and spending time together. And I just want my children to have the same experience that I had growing up.
Yeah, that's great. And I love when families get together, and sometimes discussions happen over faith. Sometimes heated discussions as well,
yes.
And conversation about that. And that's just sort of part of the messiness of family life, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely have the messiness. We're not perfect. We all, bother each other sometimes. Sometimes my parents are, driving us nuts about something, but in the end, we love them to death, and there isn't anything I wouldn't do for them. And I love the fact that I'm, close by to my family and near my family, so I can be around them, and my children can be around them to grow up with the experience of having faith in family.
That's really beautiful. As a professional working woman, would you like to say a little bit about how you try to balance family and work and faith and church and all those sorts of things?
So it's hard.
Yeah, sure.
I oftentimes just try to get through my days. It's just one day at a time for me. Some days are really hard, and I think because I have faith, it helps me get through the hard days. I'm an OBGYN, and sometimes I have bad news to deliver. Sometimes I have to tell patients something really disheartening that's going to change their life. And I always kind of walk out of the room and think that I have faith, and it helps me kind of get through those rough days. And when I have those rough days, it's hard to go home to my family because I want to spend time with them, and I don't want to bring those bad things home. But it helps me kind of have some peace with what I'm doing, so that when I go home, I can kind of let it go and spend some time with my kids.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This isn't some sort of setup kind of question either, but as I listen to you talk, I'm wondering, how important is it, or could you imagine it being different if your husband didn't share the same faith that you had, and just kind of being there with you and beside you? How important is that? How does all that kind of work itself out?
I think it would be a challenge. I don't know how people have different faiths and raise families. I know people do it, so I don't think it's impossible. But the fact that my husband is supportive just makes it so much easier. And sometimes I can't be there to take my kids to church or to do things. And I'm a doctor on my call, and sometimes I have to run to a delivery or I'm stuck at the hospital, and he takes them to church, and he does all the things that that I need them to do to help raise a family. And so even though he wasn't brought up with that Catholic faith, he understands how important it is to me and how important it is to our family. And he, helps the kids to do to do everything that they need to do. So I couldn't do it without him. I mean, it's a team effort, and there's no way I could do it alone.
Right. One thing I've noticed about your family, your immediate family, really, and your extended family, is the respect and care that they always seem to have for one another. Even when it's kind of loud and rowdy, you can really tell that they always care and respect one another, love one another. How do you instill that in children and family these days?
To me, I think it's just leading by example. Like my kids, I'm hoping that they see how we are with our parents. The fact that we go to dinner and we talk to our parents and we help our parents, and we are always there for our brothers and sisters, and we do things to help each other out, and they remember those things. They remember the family dinners, the time that we all spend together. And I'm hoping that it's just by watching and remembering and leading by example, they'll have those values as well.
Right. Now, I know your children are still pretty young, but are there some ways, I think one of the importance of, you've mentioned a couple things, right, as far as really trying to help your family to be a happy family. One would be, we talked about messiness and just sort of accepting the messiness, and that's part of the love and so forth that comes down the pipe when you have a family.
Right.
And we talked about how they respect and care for and love one another, how you set the example for that. And it's sort of a reflection of their faith life too, I'm sure. I know they're young,
right.
But they see the same thing going on in church. We talk about that kind of thing in church, so hopefully they, that's instilled in them as well. And then one of the other components we often talk about is that the family has to realize that it doesn't just exist for itself. Even in small children, is there some kind of way that you can help instill that in them, that they realize that they're a building block for society? Maybe it's through service, or maybe just through recognizing they're part of an extended family. I guess that's part of it, initially anyway, for small children. But how do you think you can do that for young children?
I think it's hard, especially at younger ages, but I think what I try to do is help them understand what they can do to help other people. I think they're all proud that their mommy's a doctor and their mommy helps people, and they understand how important it is to serve other people and take care of other people, because that's what mommy does, you know. And even though daddy stays at home, daddy helps do that as well. So and then they know that their grandfather is a doctor and does the same thing to help and serve other people. And so I think, again, it's just by leading by example. I think that's really important. You can talk about things all day long, but if you don't live what you preach, then your children will never, they're not going to be able to understand those examples that you're trying to set for them.
Yeah. Well, those are some great tips and some great tricks and some practical knowledge and feedback as well. On how to live out your faith right here on earth in Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
Doing the best I can. Don't have it all figured out.
Cheers.
Cheers.